Do you remember that day that you were liberated?
Hell yes, I do. That's the first time in about 5 years that I had a piece of white bread with butter and sugar on it.
Joseph Dubicki, a Holocaust survivor, is sharing his life story. Now blind, Mr. Dubicki can still vividly remember living through World War II. He was only a child at the time he and his family were placed on a train from Poland to Germany under Nazi orders.
And right behind us, they burned everything down to the ground, so there would be nothing to go back to.
They were sent to work in a slave labor camp, along with 16 other families.
All of us were housed in a big old warehouse where they used to repair locomotives, and about 250 people lived in that one building from 1943 until liberation.
As he sits in his assisted living home in Lafayette next to his wife Catherine, he recalls the day he was liberated by Polish soldiers.
So he was walking through town and he saw these vehicles come into town with a little flag on them, which white over red, which was Polish flag. And then he heard the troops in the vehicles talk Polish, so he ran up to him and says, come, I'll show you where we are. I'll show where the camp is. And that's when they came into the camp and liberated us. That was May 3 of 1945.
For the next few years, the Dubickis lived in various refugee camps in Germany. That's until the U.S. opened their borders to Eastern Europeans.
We got on a ship, which was General House, the U.S. Naval Transport Carrier, U.S. General House, and we arrived in New Orleans on Labor Day of 1949.
Under a Catholic sponsorship, they were placed with a family in Uvalde, Texas, where his parents worked on a ranch. During this period, at age 12, Dubicki was placed in the first grade at a Catholic elementary school.
They held me back a year so I would be in the same class with my sister to make it easier on us to learn the language.
After 3 years in Uvalde, the Dubickis headed to Long Island to live on a duck farm sponsored by a Polish family. His father could no longer take the Texas heat.
He couldn't stand it anymore, and he asked Mr. Gray, our sponsor, if he could be released from his position and so he can go to New York, where he had some cousins over there, and the weather was much colder than it was in Texas.
Dubicki says in Long Island at the age of 16, he entered high school where he excelled.
And I happened to be able to graduate in the top 10%.
After high school, Dubicki became a naturalized citizen and attended Clarkson Technical College of Technology in New York, where he majored in electrical engineering and joined ROTC. He says after not being able to pass a calculus class, he soon enrolled in the Air Force, quickly working his way up.
Went up and served the tour of duty at Goose Bay, Labrador, where I applied to become an aviation cadet. They sent me to Harlingen, Texas, where a year later I had gold bars on my shoulders and silver wings on my chest. I was one of America's best.
Dubicki was then placed in Waco, Texas, and was an aviation cadet instructor teaching military and navigation subjects.
And while I was at James Conner Air Force Base, I met my wife, Catherine. She was attending Baylor University.
We were married in 1963.
Dubicki and Catherine wed in 1963 and were gifted a prized wedding gift from his mother, Russian ruble coins from Poland she had stuffed and hid in a soap bar throughout her time in various camps.
So she got the coins out and gave 4 to my sister and 4 to us. Guess what else we have? We have the top of a wedding cake in the freezer.
Oh, wow.
Dubicki then made his way to Montgomery, Alabama, where he attended Squadron Officer School. He then chose to depart from the Air Force.
They said that they had too many officers in the Air Force, and does anybody want to resign their commission and leave? Otherwise, they would have to forcibly make people leave. I said, I'm gone. And so I left the Air Force, got my discharge papers, and joined Catherine's daddy on his business in Vanderbilt, Texas, which was a cotton gin.
While in Vanderbilt, Dubicki worked for Catherine's father on a cotton gin and later went on into the grain industry with his brother-in-law.
Later on, we built a commercial grain storage and receivership where I used to buy grain from the farmers and sell for export.
Dubicki also helped establish the 2nd Fire District in Texas.
See, when I was in Texas and I got to Vanderbilt, we had absolutely nothing. When I left, we had EMS, we had fire, we had ambulances, we had fire trucks, we had new fire stations. I started the 2nd Fire District in the state of Texas, and I was able to collect taxes and really build up the southern part of our county into a very organized EMS and fire department.
He also volunteered as an EMS and helped bring modern technology to first responders.
I improved that by getting paging system established, and if the call came in for emergency to a sheriff's dispatcher, they were able to dispatch us. I guess Air Force trained me for that.
Dubicki and his wife moved to Lafayette in 2004 to be closer to their grandchildren. They attended Mass at the Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist.
Our daughter that was living here in Lafayette gave birth to a daughter. And Catherine said, well, I'm selling everything. We're moving to Lafayette. I want to watch my grandchildren grow up.
Oh.
And sure enough, they did.
Would you say that you've lived the American dream?
Heck yes.
Dubicki says he hopes he can inspire those through his memoir.
Yeah, I want them to get out of it what they can do for the country as I have done.
Samantha Loren, KATC TV3.